Happy Friday. So we had talked before. I think there was a lot of interest in doing more with ZIO HTTP, in particular, kind of building something with ZIO HTTP. And one of the issues that's out there is also just upgrading your versions, because obviously we're still in the release candidate stage. We're hopefully very close to the 1.0 version of ZIO HTTP, but we have a lot of people who, I think just because they were so excited about it, have been using versions, either the release candidates under the ZIO organization or the previous versions under the Dream 11 organization. And so when you're doing that, one of the things is like, how do you upgrade? And there's also kind of a balance that I think we've had to do as library authors there, of like, we want to get things like the right way for that 1.0 version, but obviously that means sometimes things are different than they were in the release candidates, because sometimes they were not that way. What I thought we could do today is, there's actually an application called ZIO Pet Clinic. We did a Zymposium on it before with the author of that, Olive. But it's been a while since that's been updated. So we'll look at where it's at in a second. But I think it could be a good exercise for us to try to get that upgraded to the latest ZIO HTTP version. And one, that'll just kind of give us practice in at least one iteration of updates. There are probably a lot of different permutations of exactly what version you're on versus getting on the most current version, but we'll kind of do one of those permutations. And then two, I'm hoping it'll, that once we get that done, it'll set us up to potentially add more things to that, where it's kind of a cruddy app. It's kind of the ZIO version of, I think, pet shop. I think this was actually called Pet Clinic. So, we're not going to commoditize the animals. They should not be bought or sold, but we'll take care of them. Maybe once we have that, we can add some things on top of it. Maybe we'll have some way with WebSockets you can get streaming event notifications about the latest updates on your pet's health, or maybe we'll use some authentication so you can only view the information about the pets that you're the owner of or something. But first, let's just get it working on the latest version. So that's going to be our plan for the day. Give me one sec here, and let me just get my second screen up here and just check in on people, make sure that no one has any questions. And I'm also going to copy the Discord link, and I'm going to paste it into here. All right, so there is the link for the Discord. That's generally where we do all of our conversations in chat. Either if you in real time have a question, I'll try to check in on that, as well as afterwards, if you have like a follow-up question, or maybe if you did have a question, I wasn't able to fully address it. Just using that ZIO meetups makes everything a little more persistent, so it doesn't just disappear when the Zoom session ends. So yeah, please feel free to jump in there, either ask a question or just say hi. All right, let me share my screen here. All right, so this is the ZIO Pet Clinic app, or maybe app's the wrong word, but this is the GitHub for it. I just downloaded it. Let me grab the link for a second. Oops, I accidentally did non-ZIO Pet Clinic, and I got links to places in Los Angeles where I can get my pet taken care of, which is not my problem right now. All right, so I just pasted the link to that for everyone. And so I just downloaded this. I haven't, well, I guess I did make sure that the test passed, and I made sure that that was working. But other than that, I haven't done anything to this. So I've got this repo here. I've opened SBT. And speaking of which, I will just try running a test just to make sure if I'm screwing something up, it's not me screwing things up. And you can see here the tests are using test containers, they're using Docker, because this is kind of supposed to be a full stack app. So we got a front end here, we've got interacting with a database, it's powered by Quill. So it's supposed to be kind of an example of like taking a bunch of these ZIO services and putting them together to do something that is not completely silly. All right, so for our task here, if we go to, oh, and I'll make this a little bit larger. Sorry, I know I'm bad about that. I think that's hopefully good size. Please jump in if you want the size bigger or if it's too big or anything. But if we look at this, so we can see ZIO HTTP version, we're on 2.00 RC9, which I guess another one of the good and weird things with the history of ZIO HTTP is Dream11 did some amazing work kind of initially developing the library. They donated it to ZIO, and we've been pushing forward from there. So basically, the 1.0 series was support for ZIO 1, 2.0 series was support for ZIO 2 under Dream11 organization, and then the 3.0 series, which we're in the process of getting to, it's actually not a 1.0, I guess it's a 3.0, but I'll call it a 1.0 anyway, is under the ZIO organization. So this is basically saying this is one of those Dream11 versions. And so that, I think that contribution of ZIO organization happened around August, September last year, I want to say. So this is like, we got a decent amount of work here. And then the other thing that I noticed here is the ZIO version. So this is on a ZIO release candidate, which if someone was narrating or doing a show about my life here, there'd be like a scream emoji right here. So before we, oh, and I guess I said something that made Siri talk, so that's good times. So I think that's probably actually what we're going to have to handle before we can deal with anything else. Is I think we probably need to like get on the latest ZIO version, get all of these things off release candidate versions. And yeah, Ben, you got my same screen emoji. And Ben's got this super fancy flare on his Discord. So if anyone's checking that out, give him some props for that. So I think first thing is we'll try to get off the release candidate version onto a solid ZIO version, see if we can get everything going with that. And then we'll try to update the ZIO HTTP version. So this is going to be another one like the last couple we've done of like, sometimes it's more of like, oh, here's a nice high level presentation. Sometimes like, here's the sausage being made. So some of this may be sausage being made, but hopefully that's valuable to people. And as always, jump in with kind of what you like, what you don't like, what you want to see more or less of. But okay, so I think I am just going to go for this here. And I may be doing a little bit of Googling as I go to just figure out the right versions for some of these things. So I'm going to want to bump ZIO up to, I believe we're on 2.0.13 here. Just you probably, oh, maybe I can do it on my other screen. Let me see. Yeah, I think I will just shift Windows for a second and check this out. Maybe I can actually do yeah, just check this out. If someone's not muted, can you go ahead and mute yourself? We don't have the settings to auto mute everyone this time. Okay, so I'm just quickly gonna hop over to ZIO and confirm 2.0.13 is the right one. One nice thing is I think just about everyone adopted a convention of if it was a ZIO library that was based on a ZIO release candidate, they also labeled their thing as a release candidate. So we kind of know these and this one are the ones that we need to look at to update as well, because the release candidates are not binary compatible with the final versions. So we've got to make sure we're on a final version of everything. Once we've got that, it doesn't matter as much because they are compatible with each other. So ZIO metrics, I'm just gonna go back and forth here and check on the latest versions of some of these things. So it looks like ZIO metric selector is on 2.0.8. I'm a little suspicious about the ZIO test containers because even though it doesn't have the RC after it, because I feel like it's based on some of these things. So I'm just going to check on the ZIO test containers. I think Scott's here, so maybe he can set me right.
What was the question specifically?
Oh, it was just, well, one, does the ZIO test containers, this 0.6, depend on a release candidate? My guess is it does. And I guess the more relevant question would be, what is the latest version of this library that I should use here?
should be listed on the GitHub as
yeah, exactly. I was just hopping over, but I was saying if I could do the real time dialogue here, but it looks like 0.10.0. And Scott, it's still under your GitHub, right? You haven't moved it? Yeah, okay, perfect. So by the way, everyone say hi to Scott. He is a member of the team at ZiVerge, and he's independently fantastic, and he is the author of this ZIO test containers library that is great if you want to use test containers with ZIO test, which we're doing. Okay, so that's updated. Let's take a look at ZIO Quill. I don't think we have Alex here, so I'll have to struggle on myself and going to look up the latest version.
Oh, the one thing, and excuse the background noise, I'm having my roof replaced right now.
Just put yourself, oh, but sorry, go ahead. If you
I just wanted to make a really quick comment about there are ZIO 2 variants and ZIO 1 variants to support. I'm trying to support everybody. So when you're pulling in libraries, you want to make sure you're using the ZIO 2 version. But I assume that Pet Clinic was already written to use ZIO 2.
Yes, those ZIO 2 release.
Then you don't have to worry about that.
That is the problem we are solving right now.
Okay.
Okay, so ZIO Quill, it looks like is on 4.6.0. So let's bump that. Let's look at ZIO logging. I don't think Peter is on, or I would ask him the version. It's like that's 2.1.13. Off by one on everything there. Okay, let's look at ZIO JSON. It's like 0.5.0. All right, and then the one that's going to be a little bit tricky is the ZIO HTTP one, because obviously I want kind of the, I'm hoping to do this incrementally. So I'm looking for the one that supports the final versions of ZIO. I know we've moved GitHub repositories as well, so I'm going to see if I can figure this out. If anyone just is already using one of those versions and just knows that off the top of your head, feel free to jump in here. But otherwise, I'm just doing a little bit of detective work here. Okay, so let's see. Okay, this is good. We got lots of stuff here. So, okay, RC9. And here, let me just change my share in a second. I'll do a new share. I'll show you this. Seems like, there we go. So I'm just looking at the releases here, and they contain some nice information. So we were on RC9, which supports RC6, which makes sense because it was working before. So we go to the next version. This supports 2.0.0. So let's start with that minimum bump here. So we're going to go to RC10. And we are going to hope that this all works, and we're going to see what breaks here. So I'll just, oops. So we're reloading. Yeah, I was trying to exit. Okay, all right, so let's start this up again. Let's try to compile it. Oh boy, let's see. Okay, so we got some ZIO logging, SLF or J. Let's, oh, okay, here we go. ZIO. And down. Oh, wait, did I make a typo? Why is it 2.2? 2.113. You guys got to keep me honest here. Oh, hold on. Thank you. Sorry. This is what this is like the downside of doing the new screen share, because then you forget about the old screen share. Sorry about that. Okay, hold on a second. Let me get back here. Where's my VS Code? There we go. So sorry. So I ran it and it was blowing up on ZIO logging, because I think I had a typo here. It was supposed to be 2.1, not 2.2. So now you're saying, now I will hold you accountable for correcting my mistakes. All right, so let's try compiling this. Okay, so this is Quill. It kind of prints out all the queries, does compile time. All right, so we got, all right, so some method is deprecated. So let's read, and it looks like we got nice messages. So let's read this. So method SLF for J and object SLF for J is deprecated. It's 2.0.1. Use layer without log level. Okay, so let's, I think that just means delete this guy here. And then here, I love these deprecation warnings. Yay, fellow contributors on other ZIO libraries. Okay, so method from config is deprecated in data source layer. Use quill.datasource.from config. Okay, let's see if that works. Quill.datasource.from config. See if those work. Oh, all right, maybe that needs to be lowercase. No. Okay, let me undo that. Read that error message again. Is the same. Yeah. Oh, it's IO.get will. Build that data source. That's interesting. We got a quill. Okay, so it'd be like that. Oh, or maybe it's an implicit one. Okay. Oh, in worst case, I could just disable the warnings, but let's see. Yeah, it's not remember that. I'm gonna hop over to Quill for a sec. See if I can figure this out. Because maybe I will do the new screen share just so we come along with it. Let's go get Quill. So we wanted from config. Okay, this is a capital Quill. Okay. Oh, JDBC ZIO. I think Juan has the right idea. And it does indeed look like that has solved my problem. Okay, let me try to make that slightly nicer by importing that. Oh, and I'll do my new share again, so you see what I'm doing. Sorry about that. Let's get it to come back and forth. Okay, so we have one more. Oops. And then I can get this. Oh, right, I shouldn't do that. All right, maybe I will stick with the fully qualified then. Okay, seems to work. Let's look at our tests. All right, so we were providing this is zenv.live. And I'm trying to remember what a zenv is. I think this is trying to say, I think this is default services, I want to say now. This is the problem with, it's been a while since the police candidate. Let me see if that's a thing. I think I'll need to provide this all. No. All right, let me go for a second, do some archaeology. I'll do another new share. Let's see what this thing is. So let's go to ZIO. See some message. Okay, so let's go back to tags. Here's our 6. Yeah. Oh. So let's look at ZIO. Share. Okay, so we have zenv.live. Okay, so this basically was a layer that produced these things, and that's a little bit idiomatic now because we took these out of the environment. So let's see what we're doing. So the first line of defense here is just deleting this, but let's see what we get with that again. Definitely need the data source layer. That seems like a strange error. Let's see if it even compiles without these. Okay, so test containers layer. It's interesting. I'm getting the unused layer warning here. That's surprising to me. All right, well, I have a feeling I'm going to make my test fail if I don't include this, but maybe let me start with this. Let's comment these out.
Sorry, Adam, could you please switch screens?
Oh, yes, sorry, I'm
Thank you.
bad about this. That will, I think, at least, okay, so that'll have everything compiling. Let's see, I'm worried my tests are going to fail with that. But, okay, so this is interesting. So let's look at this output. So basically, it looks like our tests passed here. Right, we completed all of our tests. Then we tried to run our stuff on JavaScript. And now we're getting an error that we couldn't. Basically, I think we need to update our Scala JS version. So that's good. I'm not sure all the changes that got made to these things make these unnecessary, but I guess it's good that we don't need them. So I'm going to delete this. I'm going to delete these. I'm going to delete these. And so I think right now, if I go to, let's see, project, if I go to I think this is all in the backend. If I go to project backend and test, these should all pass. Let's see. Amazing. Okay, as State would say. All right, so that's great. So now I just need to figure out this issue with Scala JS. And so I think what I want to do here is I want to go to my project plugins. And I think this Scala JS version is not what I want it to be. Let's see if I have any other plugins. Yeah, so let's look at the versions of these two. So I'm gonna switch over one more time. Let's do Scala JS. This is 1.13 SBT Scala JS. One 1.13.1. Okay. Just gonna write that down for a second. And there's also this SBT Scala JS cross project. I have a feeling that's gonna be the same version. Let's see if I can check. Looks like 1.0.0. That doesn't seem right. Find the 1.3.1. So let me do my other share. So I think this is 1.13.1. And 1.3. Okay, so let's try that again. All right, downloading more Scala.js stuff. Okay, so now all our tests are passing, we're compiling. It only took us half an hour. So let me create a new branch for this. Maybe I'll call this update. And I think this is probably, format, file format. No, not, okay. It seems like the point to commit. So let's say create dependencies to the version. Okay. So now we're ready for the next stage of our journey, which is I want to, let's find that ZIO HTTP version. I want to bump this guy from 2.0.0 to, I think we're 3.0.0 RC2. Let me switch over one more time and we will just check the ZIO HTTP version. ZIO HTTP. RC1, excuse me, 300 RC1. Go back. All right, and here we'll probably, I'm guessing, break a bunch of stuff, though I'm slightly hopeful that we're not doing anything that exotic, but we'll find out. All right, so let me reload this. And let's try compiling this again. Ooh, oh, what did I do here? Oh, yeah, I needed to update the organization as well. So let me go there. So where am I using that ZIO HTTP version? Is it down here? Okay, so now this is going to be the.zio. And this is going to be ZIO HTTP. Let's reload and try that one more time. Okay, 100 errors. That's what I was looking for. Now, fortunately, I know what some of these are, because I was the one who caused them. Scott, if he's here, he can jump in too, because he raised this. So in prior ZIO versions, they had this exclamation thing for the root. And in the latest release canon, we deleted that and we replaced that with just the word root. I guess the exclamation has the advantage of it's 2 characters shorter, but it's also just this like weird symbolic character. So we replaced that with root. So I think, again, if anyone wants to, you can chime with your opinions on that, but so that's the way we've gone. So I think that's a nice one here. A bunch of errors. All right, well, at least, all right, so someone feels like the exclamation was ugly too. Okay, good. So I think, fortunately, the exclamation is probably not used anywhere else. So I think I can do a global find and replace for that. And okay, we have ZIO HTTP also. I think that should help with at least some of my errors. Let's see. Now this one's interesting. We haven't. Oh, is it / now? Oh, we're not finding a method. Okay. Oh, all right. Hold on. Okay. So we have some very basic things here. So first, just it's not ZHTTP, it's ZIO.HTTP. So I think that's probably another easy global find and replace. Hopefully that will. Ooh, only 26. That's fun. Okay, so let's start with some of these. All right, so I think looks like we got another just kind of, I think, structure thing of one of the things that we've tried to do is just make the package structure flatter. So kind of like what you might be familiar with ZIO is that like basically, at least in ZIO core, like ZIO dot gets you basically everything in ZIO and ZIO dot ref, ZIO dot this. There's not like a second layer of nesting. Oh, maybe I actually shouldn't have done my. Okay, I'll undo that, but that's fine. Let's see, maybe I will actually, okay. Yeah, I think that's right. It hasn't made the last release candidate. So I'm gonna undo some of these changes, I think. All right, so let me do this. Let me undo these. So I get rid of my exclamation. Oops, hold on, I just accidentally closed the entire thing. Nabil is right, and Nabil is doing some other amazing work on ZIO. So Nabil is someone we should listen to. But let me get my share going again. Maybe I saw it going. Share screen. Okay. All right. So I've undone my exclamation point changes, which I shouldn't have done, but I am going to do my ZIO HTTP changes. Yeah. No, we got amazing people working on all across the ZIO organization and ecosystem. All right, so let me try compiling this. Okay, so 9 errors now. That's amazing. Okay, so sorry. So back to where I was saying before. So we've tried to make the package structure more flat. So I think now the middleware is just under middleware versus just under ZIO HTTP versus being a separate middleware package, I think. And then there's also been some other refactoring in middleware. So I'm not sure this is going to entirely solve my problem, but oh, and hold on a second. There's just, this is also should be ZIO, though I think that's probably still wrong, but for different reasons. So, okay, all right. So let's keep going on this middleware thing. Yeah, no, okay. So, oh, I did. Oh, that might be true that both work. Maybe I should do the renaming anyway. Okay. So HTTP middleware is not a member of ZIO HTTP. And let's see where we're using their HTTP middleware. Okay, so it's like literally we have middleware. And I think I'm going to take the path of deferring this momentarily because the middleware does require a little bit more. Well, let's actually go. Let's go to ZIO HTTP and look at this. I feel like I need a way of like sharing these two screens. But let's go in here. Let's look at source. And so I think Yeah, we can, sorry if this is a little small for people, but we can see there's no middleware here because I think everything is kind of at this top level here. And so let's see what we've got from middleware. So we've got HTTP route middleware. We've got request handler middleware. We don't have an actual just middleware. Let's look at these HTTP route middleware. Maybe I'll think about this constructor. I want to use this from option function. Let's see. Okay, so I think I could call this an HTTP app middleware, I believe. I'm gonna try that, and otherwise I may just punt on this militarily. But let me do the share again. So I think I could call this HTTP app middleware. Well, and one thing, I can just delete this entirely because it's now in this namespace here. So I'll at least have one fewer error. Okay. And then similar, the server is just under ZIO HTTP, so I can get rid of that. So that's nice. Okay, and so I think this is a HTTP app middleware, I believe. Oh, I think because this can now has some more type parameters because the HTTP app middleware. Let's see. We have the type alias, right? Yes. So I think this is simple here because there's a more powerful variation of this that can change the environment type. So I think okay, so that's at least valid. Okay, so this says from option function is not a member of HTTP. So let's look at what I'm doing here. So this is basically, it gives me the request and then I get a ZIO, I annotate it, and then I return the result. I'm actually not sure why this was called option function because I'm not really seeing the option here, which maybe is the reason it was renamed. So, okay, this will be a good exercise and kind of find the method. And I'm guessing my VS Code is not going to work for me here. Yeah, my VS Code is definitely not going to work for me here. All right, so we are going to take another journey here. Apologies for all the switching back and forth, but maybe hopefully this is interesting. Okay, so we're going to HTTP. And the good thing here is that we have relatively straightforward naming conventions and organizations. So I'm going to put so it's going to be in the companion object of HTTP, and most things are from something, usually alphabetized. Those are not really helping me here. So let's see. I wonder if I just want to use one of these collect ZIO. So this gives me a function out. So I think ZIO might work here. Let's see if that. And I think I'm going to need 2 more type parameters for the. Oh no, I probably won't need that because we do the partial type. So let's see if that will work for me. Yes. All right. Cool. But now I've got an issue here. Oh, interesting. Okay, so right, I think this was a little bit weird. So in the previous one, I could just like apply the HTTP to get a result, which I think that no longer exists because the routing itself may be factual. So you need to. I think we just thought apply was a weird thing for this. So I think this is going to be like run or execute. Oh, and sorry, I'm being bad about sharing the screen. Let me go back here. So sorry. So let me just replay briefly. So we fixed that issue here, and now we've got a new issue down here where we can't do this HTTP.apply request. I think it's like run or something. So I'm just going to switch back to here. And let's see if there's something like execute. Done. Yes, it looks like run is maybe run 0. I think run ZIO is what I want here. And now I think I'm seeing where the options coming in. Let me do a new share. So I think this becomes run ZIO. And I think that is going to give me an option in the error channel, which the other one, yeah, this is not going to like now. Because this is just expecting. So I need to see if there's a different, more specific operator here that's going to take a ZIO where this could fail with an option, and it's going to translate that. So let me go back there. And look at my ZIO. Okay, so we got a couple from option handlers, maybe. Okay, so I think no. Okay, so they need to figure out what if it's a handler here. Okay, so that's a little bit of a to do. Right now, I'm just going to do a little bit of a cheat here, and I'm just going to say, oops. That we need to handle better, but I think that, oh, I'm sorry, I'm not sharing. So basically, I was just saying I'm gonna just punt on this to try to get things compiling. This is definitely not correct here, but let's just see if we can get some of these other things resolved, and then we'll come back to this. Okay, so now we have this. I'm just gonna see if someone else was. saying something, help me out. Related, no. Okay. HTTP from handler and run handler. All right, that seems like a good idea. Let's go back there. We can do this, right? We're in the deal here. Let's see, where was that? Do you have, oops. So HTTP from handler, pick from handler ZIO, and then run handler. That works. Yeah. All right, that's way nicer. Thanks, Nabil. All right. So now we've got server.start is not a member of server. So I think this just has some different name here. So again, I'm just gonna shift back over. Okay, so Ahmad thinks it's served, which I think is very reasonable. Let's see if that works. Yes. Loving the support from our Zymposium team here. Okay, and okay, so now we've got, it's got too many arguments. And I think that's right, because I think serve just expects the thing that we actually want to run. The idea is we configure the server with the port beforehand. So let's just look at that interface for a second. So we'll go back to here and we'll go to the server. And so let's find this step serve. Yeah, so it just expects an app and you don't kind of configure at this level. But the server basically has all these methods. The server already has a port and has all these methods. I think the port one's just called def port. Let's find that. Yeah, the server just has this method. Oh, that, yep, that, yeah, so you can just use this def port and you provide it with a port and that configures it to call on that port. So I think all we need to do is we need to, oh, sorry. Oh, share screen. Sorry. So what I was, I feel like I did everything like a little bit twice. But what I was saying is, we go to this def serve. The serve just expects the app you want to run. It doesn't take like the configuration of like the port you want to run it on. And the reason for that is you configure the server in advance of that. You basically decorate it with all these methods. So you would have like def port here to set the port. So I think what we can do is we can just grab the server out of the environment, we can set the port, and then we can call it. And so I think if I want to do that, let's go back. Oh, is there a, let's look at this default with port. New share. Okay. All right, so Ahmad is saying, right, I could, instead of providing the port here at all, I could do it with this, though I guess I would need to do a little bit more to get this out. So I think I think that's probably an interesting refactor, but like something to maybe do after we just get this going. So I think what I'm going to do is I think I can say server in ZIO.service server, and then or I can do yeah, and then I could do server dot port dot serve my routes. Let's see if that will work. No, I could more issues here. Or does not take parameters. Let me just go back and look at my. Sorry, let me go back. Oh, I think I might. Oh, I know what I need to do. I think it's with port. It's server dot with. No. Right now, I'm going to go to the doc. Oh, right. I'm thinking of the client interface. Yes. You're right here. Okay, so let me go back here. Yes, so let me undo those changes. Oops, got this. Server. Right, so get rid of that here. And then let's see if I can just, oh man, this needs to be served. And then I think this is HTTP app middleware. Check. Okay. Okay, all right, so this is another good one here. So this is kind of a long error message, but what this is telling us is that we've got right now this set of routes can fail with a throwable, and what we're expecting is that it actually it can't fail with a throwable. It needs to fail with a response. And so let's see, where is all routes defined? So, right, so really, and I mean, in a way we would want to just change it here, but maybe right now we'll change it here. And let's see, do we have, let me look at our responses. Or one of our, someone could jump in with. Oops. There's what the operator is here, but meanwhile, I'm going to look here and look at our response. I think we have an operator for this. With default error response. Okay, let's check that. Oops. Okay. All right, now this whole thing is something that needs a server, which is correct. So let's put the server in the environment there. Let's try to provide it at the very top of our application. All right, value body as string is not a number, and someone, I think that was coming up somewhere before with someone. What were we complaining about with? All right, so let me add string. Let's see if that works for me. Oh, I don't know if toString is what I want. Let me. This is a request. All right, body as string, that makes sense. That does make sense. Okay. And all right, so looks like we've got some issues around our logging middleware. Let me just for a sec, I just want to kind of make sure this is the only issue we have left. So what if I just for a second comment this out? Okay, good. Oh, and this is great because now we get to the end of our application. And so now we'll do the server. I think it's default report. Yeah, we'll need import. Okay. And we could like do it to do the load from configuration if we can. So that's great. Let's go back and briefly look at this issue with the middleware. And if we can't quickly resolve that, I'm very happy to kind of declare victory for today. And we kind of have that as a follow-up as well as just getting the tests to compile and making sure those work. But this seems like great progress. So let's see. Where did we have that middleware? Okay. This was the clinic server. All right, so we'll do that. So we need def apply environment error. So what if I just copy that? Ooh, that's ugly. And I don't think I should move this here. There we go. Okay. So I think I just need to slightly update the signature. All right. Fantastic. So at this point, everything should be working except for potentially making the server more configurable. We could do that pretty easily. Let's try running the test, or probably more likely try and get a test compile. Oh, wow. Hello. Okay. All right. Well, that's pretty nice. So at this point, I think our only issue is that one around the configuration. So we're a little bit over on time, but I'm kind of motivated here to see if we can get this last thing done. I'm just going to one more time just check in. Yeah, I agree. Not bad for an hour of work. So let's find where we were constructing that before. I think it was in server routes. But oh, clinic server. I think here we are. Yeah, here we are. Okay, so we're supposed to get it right now from an environment variable called port. And this might also be a nice opportunity to use the ZIO config functionality here and actually do this a little bit better. So basically, we want something called port. And then if we don't get that, we want to do 8080. So that's fair enough. So I think we can basically, let's look at the different constructors for this server layer here. and figure out which one we want to use. And then I think we can make this a little better. So I'm going to go back to our interface here. And as always, anyone feel free to jump in here. But let's see, server. All right. So I can do default, I can do live. I can do the default with config. But I think this is our config type here, which let's look at what this is. It's just basically this case class that just has a whole bunch of fields inside of it. But I think this is the problem may actually be solving itself here, because if we look here, we can see that the way, so what this, let's kind of rewind here. So if we do anything, we use this default, and this default is going to use the config.default, and the config.default, let's see if I can find this here. Default. So this is, okay, so the default is going to use 8080, which is fine. And then we can also use this one called config here, which is going to load everything from this config information. And it looks like this binding port would be the one we want. So we could get it here. But maybe let's try to kind of do this ourselves. So, okay, we can use default. We can use default with port. We can use configured one that's going to load path from the configuration. Or we could use live, that would let us create our own config. So I think we could potentially, if we wanted to make this more configurable, I mean, maybe this is fine, but if we wanted to make this more configurable, we could change this to, see, is that a layer or not? Sorry, let me check something. Okay, this is not a layer, but we can make that a layer. So if I wanted to, going back to here, I think I could do something like zlayer dot from ZIO server.config. That would give me the config. And then I could do server.live. I believe this one. Let me just go back here and see what this is called. So I'm just quickly looking back here, trying to, server.config. And then I believe it's just ZIO.config to load a config. Yep. So this way, this is going to be a little bit more configurable, where basically everything is going to come from here. And put this bottom here. Okay, just compile this again. That's fine. Okay, so I'm going to take all these, this, these, and I'll say update to latest ZIO HTTP version. Okay, so I think that's a good not a day's work, but at least an hour's work. Sorry, Juan had a question of can you just do the system.env or else call in making the layer? Yeah, you definitely can. I thought maybe it was nicer to just do it as part of the config, but yeah, could definitely do that as well. All right, so I think hopefully this was helpful. I know there was a decent amount of just bouncing back and forth between the browser and the IDE, but I think we actually made a lot of progress, and hopefully you saw it wasn't that difficult. There was sometimes like a little bit of figuring out of like where does something go, but it was pretty straightforward. And I think when you look at the changes, they generally look better after they did before, which is what you want. In the future, we may do some other projects where we build on this. And I also encourage everyone else to like take a look at this and to either open issues of other things that you'd want to see, or I think there are a couple of issues that could probably use some love. I think one of the challenges with some of these libraries, especially for something like ZIO HTTP, is like people want to see like real kind of examples where like different things are working together, right? You have a database and you have authentication and you have all this stuff, but realistically, like generally if you're doing that, like it's not like actually open source, it's like your company's project, so it's not like here. So I think this is a nice thing that maybe we can collectively invest in, so we do have something like that. And then it'll be good if we want to kind of add other things on top of it, like authentication or streaming or other things. And it's also just a good resource for people who are like looking to get started and saying like, okay, like I saw your little hello world, or you know, you can currently like launch like your 100,000 like fibers increment of ref, but like how do I actually do a thing? But anyway, thank you so much, everyone. Hope you had hope you enjoyed this, and hope you have a wonderful weekend. It's going to be a long weekend for at least a lot of folks, I think, in the US and some parts of Europe. So hope everyone else is getting out to enjoy it and enjoy the summer. Take care.